The 7 from WATE 6 on your side.
Good evening, I'm Bo Williams, and welcome to The 7. Let's get a look at the big 7 stories right now, and topping the list, threats made against schools. Bogus reports of an active shooter. They've been happening today in our area and really all around the state. In our viewing area, we know of threat calls in 4 counties, Knox, Hamblin, Jefferson, and Greene, targeted at Central High School, Morristown West, Jefferson County High School, plus Greenville Middle and High Schools. Let's start with Central High School in North Knoxville. Police were called out around 10:30 to a report of a shooting. The school resource officer reported no known emergency. Later, we learned from KPD that the original 911 call was fake and came from out of state. A similar story from Morristown. Hamblin County Schools Superintendent Arnold Bunch Jr. describing the call there as computer generated. Bunch says the school system took the alleged threat seriously until it was proven false. Meanwhile, in Jefferson County, the fake report prompted a hard lockdown. Sheriff Jeff Coffey saying, just like the others, was believed to have come from out of state. The school system issuing a statement reading in part, quote, "Sad day when people decide to disrupt school and emergency response personnel by calling in a false report." Looking further out now, more and more bogus threats like an active shooter at Greenville Middle and High Schools, Science Hill High School in Johnson City, Tennessee High School in Bristol also were, again, all apparently targeted today. Now, the list just goes on and on. Our Chattanooga affiliate says Brainerd High School in Hamilton County had a fake shooter report. These reports stretch across the state, as we mentioned. The TBI and FBI now taking them seriously tonight, launching an investigation. TBI agents say none of the threats were credible and there was no known immediate threat to public safety. FBI agents describe them as, quote, swatting incidents. That's something that, we've told you about before. Generally, it comes when a fake report is aimed at a person with the intent of having SWAT teams surround the home to scare someone, and sometimes it ends in tragedy. Mac Hardy from the National Association of School Resource Officers says these tend to come in clusters.
Now you have all these police officers rushing to a scene. They have their lights and sirens going. We have seen in Georgia where an officer was injured going to one of these scenes. So it's a community hazard, and the dangers to the trauma, to the mental health of students and staff is great.
Of course, this comes just over a month since the deadly attack on Covenant School in Nashville. We'll have more on the effort to get answers about the shooting later, with a new lawsuit to factor in. But even before Covenant, we have reported on a growing list of threats that caused a school closure or a teen to have been charged. At least 13 students in our area have been charged with making a threat since the month of January. Our next Big 7 story for you tonight, a man found dead on a bridge. We learned just about an hour ago that the Broadway Viaduct is open once again after detectives cleared the scene. The bridge had been closed between West Depot and Jackson Avenue while investigators from the Homicide Unit and crime lab workers and the medical examiner's office collected evidence. Along with KPD saying Broadway is open once again, the department says more information on the death is coming. And of course, we'll bring it to you as soon as it comes into our newsroom. Well, a Big 7 story developing through the day down in Atlanta. Tonight, one person there is dead, 4 others taken to the hospital, and the suspected shooter still on the loose. That shooting happening at a medical center in Midtown. People in the building were asked to shelter in place or stay away from the area. Police have released surveillance pictures believed to show the suspect, Dion Patterson. Investigators are describing the person killed as a 39-year-old woman and saying the shooting happened in a waiting room. Atlanta police are calling Patterson armed and dangerous tonight.
You see this individual who may or may not still be in the same hoodie, please call 911 right away or use Crime Stoppers to be able to provide an anonymous tip to where he may be. As everyone consider him still armed and presenting a danger to whatever community he may find himself in at this time.
I heard the pops. I didn't know it was gunfire.
All I seen was police cars and SWAT, and everybody's just pulling up, back to back.
Police have lifted a shelter-in-place order in Midtown and are now searching for the suspect in Cobb County. That's where a truck the accused gunman stole was found in a parking garage. The 4 surviving victims were all women, ages 25, 39, 56, and 71. The Coast Guard confirming that the suspected shooter served as an electrician's mate, second class, from 2018 until his discharge in January. Our next Big Seven story, an update to the search for a man missing in the Smokies. National Park Rangers tell us they are starting to scale back now that search effort. Gordon Kay was reported missing April 26, 3 days after he had last been spotted near what rangers describe as a backcountry campsite in the Deep Creek area. Already, we've shown you search teams scouring the area. Hundreds have taken part from dozens of agencies. Now the park says 10 searchers per day will keep looking. They'll be on foot and horseback, bringing dog teams with them. But they tell us the search area covers steep, slippery, densely forested territory. Also, now we're learning rangers will use a drone to help the search where possible. Moving down the big story list for you tonight, parents of some Knox County school students getting the task force they asked for from district leaders. You know, back in February, several Knox County parents of children on the autism spectrum went before the school board asking them to consider a special education task force. Fast forward to this week, and it is becoming a reality. Members were announced earlier this week. The goal of this new task force will be to improve special education services and supports for both KCS students and families. Courtney Piper is a member of that task force and said it really came about because of two things.
Combination of lawsuits where the courts are telling Knox County schools you can and should do better, combined with parental frustrations when they have to navigate the special education department. I think both of these things have led to the superintendent, to his credit, saying, hey, we've got to do better, and we need to completely overhaul and look at how we are providing support to special needs students in Knox County.
The board will have its first meeting this month, and they will continue to meet throughout the summer. Next on our Big Seven list, poll results which might come as a bit of a surprise. Tennesseans, even Republicans, backing some sort of reform to the state's gun laws. That's one of the takeaways from a new poll by Vanderbilt University. Roughly 3/4 of people taking part support some sort of red flag law, and that includes more than 65% of people identifying themselves as MAGA Republicans.
I think it's a sign that the state collectively is a little bit more moderate than our collective state legislature. No one should think that this state is suddenly making a turn towards the blue side of the ledger. That's not happening. It's a conservative state and remains so.
The vast majority of my constituents do not support a red flag or an order of protection law. And so if you just simply look at the makeup of the body, I don't need a poll to tell me, and I don't make decisions based on polls anyway, but you look at the makeup of the body and the vast majority of the constituents of my Republican colleagues are telling them the same thing.
Let's accomplish something that makes a difference. You know, if we're just coming down here so, you know, some folks can check a box and say, hey, we did something. Let's not.
Today's news, this comes as Governor Bill Lee plans to call a special session sometime after the 4th of July. The legislative session ended last month without lawmakers passing the measure that he wanted to extend orders of protection designed to keep people in crisis away from guns. Wrapping up our Big Seven with a promising future for animals in need. Monroe County Friends of Animals breaking ground on a new facility today. 18 years after moving into a supposedly temporary facility, Monroe County Friends of Animals has more than outgrown the space. We're told donations are still needed to get the shelter project across the finish line, with the organization about 20% away from its goal. If you'd like to help out, we will have a link for you on WAT.com. Construction, by the way, will start at the end of the month, and they hope to open the new shelter in the fall of next year.